Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and our chats with Emily as we are calling our readings through the Johnson edition, all 1,776 poems of Emily Dickinson. We turn now to poem number 36. I counted till they danced so. What I find interesting about this poem, and many scholars have as well, is that this is one of only 3 poems that Emily ever actually titled. This one called Snowflakes. And we're going to enjoy this poem. I love the joy of this poem, the sheer, unadulterated joy of this poem. Many people have qualified Emily as being a somewhat macabre and a kind of downer poet because some of her poems deal with death. But I think they fail to see the joy that's so prevalent in so many of her poems, and we're going to see this here. Some have called this a dancing poem, and I certainly love that one as well. Now, our assumptions that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist. I'm hopeful that you've already been introduced to the intro lecture that we gave, and we have worked with poems up through 35, Nobody Knows. Let's just enjoy this poem and the reading of this poem, starting with its title, Snowflakes. I counted till they danced so their slippers leaped the town, and then I took a pencil to note the rebels down. And then they grew so jolly, I did resign the prig, and 10 of my once stately toes are marshaled for a jig. Now I love this. I love the fact that she can get happy feet. She can get like Scooby-Doo and his Scooby snacks over something like snowflakes. But notice her word choice in this brilliant little offering. I counted till they dance so. In other words, she'll begin by trying to count, so it's maybe they're starting to fall. The snowflakes are starting to fall. So their slippers leaped the town. I love this idea of slippers, and of course dancing slippers will be where she's headed. Notice we'll begin with dancing, we end with jig. And then, notice we've got the and then it's and 10. It's fun the way she plays the games. After the snowfall, I took a pencil to note the rebels down. In other words, notice her use of note. It normally will have to do with making small gestures on paper with pencil, or of course musical notes. To note, that is to say, to calm the rebels down. And who are the rebels? And of course, I think that Emily is always the iconoclast in poems like this. That is to say, there's going to be this tension between, do I look at the snowflakes, do I muse on the snowflakes, do I write about the snowflakes, or do I dance with the snowflakes? And her Puritan side is going to tell her, no dancing allowed, right? To note the rebels down. And then, we're second and then they grew so jolly. Now is it the snowflakes that grew jolly, or was it her? And the fact that she uses the word jolly, obviously, will immediately take us to Christmas time and the like. I did resign the prig. Prig gets used one and only one time, along with jig, in all of her collection, and it's here. The prig, that is to say, I decided to not play the role of the prig, or the Puritan, or the one who doesn't believe in dancing. And notice it's not and then, right? It's and then, but now it's and 10. Guys, I've said this to you, what I said when I was commenting in our Talks with Walt about all of the poems in the Deathbed edition of Lisa Grass. I think that Emily and Walt share this in common. Always having a good time. Always enjoying the experience, and I think she's having fun here. Even playing rhetorical with and now it's and 10. And 10 of my once stately toes, that is to say, the prig, that is to say, I'm not going to move, I'm not going to dance, are marshaled for a jig. It's interesting, the military language of marshalling. And then jig is also only used one time in all of her poems, and it's here in this poem. Well, what exactly is it that she's playing at here? Well, I think she is playing. I think she's arguing that, of course, nature can be a source of great joy. She obviously learned that from her study of Emerson, and no question, Thoreau learned it as well from his study of Emerson. I love it to be that prig and jig are only used once in her collection, and is here. I love that. At 3A, we can think obviously of Shelley's Ode to the West Wind of 1820, and we've given full lecture on it at learnstrong.net. But I'm going to make the argument that I think that standing behind much of this poem, for Emily's literate audience, and that would be especially biblical literacy, I think she's making a reference to that famous passage in 2 Samuel 6. You'll remember maybe if you know your biblical corpus that in 2 Samuel 6, verses 14 through 22, King David is so excited that we are told that he dances before the Lord. Obviously, Puritans have always had to struggle with this line. What? David's out there dancing? Even possibly naked? What is going on? Just sure, unadulterated joy. And I think that given the language, Emily would have expected her audience to very quickly go there, to find their way to that passage. Finally, at 3b, well, how are you going to own a poem like this? When was the last time that you were just like overjoyed by something that was produced in nature? I think this is that idea of the childlike quality that is so much a part of Emily's project. When was a time when nature made you dance? And I hope that the next time you'll think of this poem. Thank you.